Hello and welcome. Good afternoon, everyone. So my name is Janina. I'm the new marketing over here at WeSuite, and I'm excited to be here with you today, along with our sales director, of course, Samantha Perry. Together, we'll be diving into WeSuite's document editor and exploring how it can significantly streamline your proposal process. At the end of this webinar, you should be able to explore how to maximize the potential of WeSuite's default system settings and proposal options. Along the way, you'll also gain valuable insights into the many features of the WeSuite document editor that can help improve your workflow and boost productivity. So by the end of today's webinar, you should be able to configure a default proposal in the user selectable options, create a default page and also pricing proposal templates, and understand and leverage the key features of the document editor. As always, we want you to get the most out of your time today. So even if you have any questions at any time throughout the webinar, don't be shy. Even if it's because we've gone too fast or you want to see or hear something again, just let us know in the chat section and I will attend with you. And we have a lot to go through, so why don't we get started? So yeah, Sam, take it away. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Janina. Um, yeah, we are going to talk all things document editor today. I'm going to go through some of the basics as well as some of the more enhanced features. And I also want to talk about some things that you could do to possibly enhance the document that you already have today. So with that being said, I will start off with I have already created a job with a few folders here, and I've already added, parts, labor, service. So for anyone that, needs some uh, 101 on job creation, I really won't focus on that today. We're going to just dive right into the document portion. So I am going to start with a job that I already have. And I am also going to be using the document within my demo, which, as you all know, everyone's documents are a little bit different. So if you see something on my document that is not on yours, it could be that there's a feature that handles it. You could use it out of the box today, or it could be that, we could add something to enhance your current proposal. So just keep in mind anything we take back from today's call, we can test through on your current document, or I may be able to help in the Q&A section address whether or not that's just an out-of-the-box feature or something that we would have to enhance. So I am going to start on the quote options tab, and we're going to talk about creating document templates. And so document templates and checkbox templates are a little bit different. So I already have a quote package revision 1 sitting here that's been auto-created upon the job's creation. But you may have noticed when you add a new quote package that the first selection that you have is which document template are you choosing. Now, 9 out of 10 times people have a singular document template and then they just have that master template alternate based on the checkboxes that they have on or off. But there are some of you that have distinct different templates. Maybe you have 2 companies and one is red themed and one is blue, right? Rather than have one proposal, just change everything based on some checkbox selections. There are some teams that have 2 different document templates. So sometimes that can get a little confusing where there's the document templates themselves and then those have templates within them for which pages and pricing do you want on or off. So to have a default document template that's actually at the user level, so under my settings, documents, you would set for the user what is their default document template. So again, if you do have more than one document, you will want to do this. If you have a singular a singular proposal template that just has various pages, then this would automatically be that default. And while I'm here, you may not know, you can also set at the user level a default cover letter, a default scope of work, and default terms and conditions. So this is good for anyone who's doing the same thing over and over and saves them a click later. So then the next type of default template would be the actual checkboxes themselves. So all documents will come with this kind of accordion style checkbox template. It usually starts with just a proposal page section, and then everything else under custom options is just category by category. How would you like to display equipment, labor, subcontractors, chargeable items, wire, test and inspection, recurring revenue, freight and warranty, and then the overall financial summary. So again, I have everything in the kitchen sink turned on. Your system may have one of these sections hidden if you're not seeing it. But if you said, hey, well, we are starting to use subcontractors now, so I want to unhide that section, that is something that you'd be able to do, or support would be able to help you do, versus something that's not out of the box. Let's say these are, 100 out of the box check boxes, and you said, well, I want to add a special box that's called, you know, bake the labor price in with the equipment price, right? And so that would be a customization we would do specifically to your document and your checkbox tree to add that extra formula or programming, and then it would be available on your document tree. So there are some things you might see that I could say, hey, yeah, we can just turn that on for you. It's probably just hidden, versus no, we would need to add that. And so you can save templates of this checkbox tree. And so in my demo, I have a few different options. And so that way, again, you could have a master template that is, 20 pages, and then you can make mini templates of that based on which checkboxes you want on or off. Now, this is at the user level at the current moment, but we do have coming in the future as a company to be able to make checkbox templates, scope of work templates, things like that. So I'm hoping to be able to announce that soon. It is in the works. I know it's a huge thing people have been asking for, but right now it is user by user. So for example, when I click my default display new customer, going to check all the boxes a certain way, where if I pick current customer to lump sum pricing, it's going to check them in a different way. So to create these templates, you would hit template maintenance here. And so the first thing you're going to do is hit new, and then you're going to name your template and tie that template to the proposal template. So again, most of you probably have a single proposal, but if you do have more than one, just make sure that you're keeping that in mind when you create your checkbox templates. So I'm going to call it, 218 new template. Once you've named it and created it, it will then display all the checkboxes for you, and you can, and so the first is which pages do you want on or off, and then the next is how do you want to display your pricing. So let's say we want cover page, cover letter, about us, our services, project description, case studies, budget, terms, and clarifications. Now, I do have a lot of extra pages. Most of you probably have cover letter, cover page, cover letter, one or two marketing pages, a place to write the scope of work, which in my case it's called project description, but some of you have it literally just called scope of work. So that's the other thing. If you wanted to rename anything to make it a little more clear to your users, which page or section is this going to turn on or off. Whereas the budget is going to be actually where the folders and the pricing is all going to show. And I do happen to be using a terms and conditions template, and then I'm also using inclusions, exclusions, clarifications, and assumptions. Each of you are doing that a little bit differently, but I'm going to talk about that, and that has its own section to begin with. And then I have extra pages like project references, case studies, table of contents. These are all added pages that you could customize to your proposal. Some of them might be driven by custom text items. And we have another feature coming soon that I can't show you today, but I'm going to talk about in the webinar to be able to add anything you have in supporting documents, since I just turned this on in my proposal. So the next half of the screen is going to be how you want to display the pricing. And so equipment, let's say show equipment, quantity and description only, total per folder, and then you can decide if you want to sort it in any special way. I'm going to show labor but not extended sell. I'm going to show RMR but not extended sell. And I want to show chargeable items as well. So again, you'll have section by section. A lot of them mirror themselves pretty much the same. So for example, on a lot of the newer documents that we've done, we will include quantity in the RMR. That was a new feature we had maybe 5 years ago. If you don't see quantity in RMR and you would like that, again, something we could easily add. And then the financial summary is usually pretty standard as well. This is going to allow you to the first just total system investment is just going to be a grand total. Whereas if you did system subtotal breakdown, it will do a grand total per category of the above. So if it's a $100,000 job, it'll say 20,000 of equipment, 20,000 of labor, 20,000 of chargeable items, and so on, and then the grand total of 100,000. And if you do folder subtotal breakdown, it will do that same break it up by equipment, labor, chargeable items, but per folder. So I'm going to do the total system investment and subtotal. Now I also have the finance lease module on, so there's a checkbox for that. Some of you might be showing finance options. And then the inclusions, exclusions, the clarifications and assumptions most of you are also using. And by default, everything is off. So for a lot of you, it's just included or excluded. There are a few of you that have a third option, which is that it's non-applicable. And so in that case, you do have to turn on either yes or no. But for many of you, it's just defaulted as no until the salesperson says yes. Let's say we typically include permits and training and conduit. I'm just going to default those as on for this particular template. Also things like term and deposit, some of you handle it in the document like you see here, and some of you handle it just from the job itself. If the term of all the recurring items on the job is quarterly and you filled in a deposit in the toolbar within the job screen, you don't do it here. But if you do have it on the document side, you can make that a part of your template. So let's just say I'll do 50%. So once that's saved, you would then close this editor, and now it becomes a new option for you here on the screen. 218, new template, select that, generate, and we'll see our new document template. Okay, so cover page, pretty standard here. I will say I only have a prepared for. I recently added the revision number to my demo. For those of you that might want to add that, it can be helpful. Whereas this is, as a reminder, is the bin, the job number, and the change order number. So if you really want to save your users from creating multiple J's and make J1, 2, 3, 4, and instead make revisions of one job, I really recommend doing that because you don't overinflate your forecast by looking like you have many, 3 of the same job, where in reality it's one job you're just quoting different pricing to. I also recently spoke about this proposal issued and valid to. If you, I know some people are changing this and adding things to, some of the tariffs and things that are potentially going to impact you, and saying, well, pricing is only going to be valid for 7 days, 14 days. We can hard code that. In my case, it's just going to always say 30 days out. But if you do want to have options to that, we've done that for some people, and we'd have to customize the checkbox tree to do that, but it is possible. I also have prepared for, and a lot of you have a prepared by and a prepared for. I have a cover letter here, which I'm going to go to those templates soon, but I have a default template. That's why this one's on. About us and our services, or just branding, marketing pages. Case studies is one of the pages I turned on. I have a custom text item where I could add to this case studies page. So by default, the page, if I have it on, just shows this only. I would have to go to the custom text item area to paste something in there, and then it would show up under case studies. Scope of work, I also had a default template just showing up, so that's showing there. And then the job itself, access, video, fire alarm. You saw it showing quantity and description of all the sections I selected, no extended pricing, and here's the subtotal breakdown. So I'm going quickly through this piece because I think this is pretty 101 at this point. Right, here's inclusions, exclusions. It has the 3 on that I turned on, and then I do happen to be using terms and conditions. And I think this is the last page. Or the last page. Okay, great. So coming back to some of the other templates available to you, if you, I would say 99% of you are on our latest document tool. Anyone who's been onboarded to WeSuite in the last 6 or 7 years is on it. There are a few that are still on the old template. And really I would really recommend upgrading because this will allow you to create much nicer looking scopes of work. I can have pictures, bullets, scraps, um, whereas when it was Crystal Reports prior, you couldn't really do anything cosmetic. So in this case, I have a template that I've turned on, and any templates you need to create, you'll have a similar template maintenance button like we did before. And you can control all your templates from this one button. So if I wanted to work on scope of work templates or cover letter templates or terms and condition templates, I can pop around within this one editor. I don't need to go to the cover letter tab. So within the scope of work, I then have these templates, where within the cover letter, I have these templates. So that's how you would control that here. I'm going to pick my intrusion and video template as an example. And so this is a template I've already created. I can edit it, save it, and now I've overwritten that template going forward. I will say something that comes up sometimes, it's just an order of operations thing. If you go to create a template and then you hit add and say, 218 new scope of work template, you would then have to hit save to make sure that it's adding what you have. Prior, it would clear out what you've written and start something new. So that's not happening, but you do want to make sure to hit save so that this creates as the template, since you created the template after you entered in the data. So these tabs, I won't go through everything. It's pretty straightforward, like you would if you were creating a Word document template. I can change font color, I can add bullets, create tables, I can insert images. So, most of all these buttons are available to you. There were a couple things we're working on revealing. Someone had brought up recently being able to highlight text. You can, if you paste it from outside, and if you had like a document in Word and some of the text was highlighted yellow or something, and then pasted it in the WeSuite scope, it will show, but you just don't have one of those buttons here available to say like highlight this sentence yellow. So that is something we do plan to have coming soon. But for the most part, the home and the insert should give you everything that you need, create a nice template, and then save that for each of your users so they can just edit it on the fly quickly. And I will reiterate, we do have coming soon, probably in version 6.12 that's planned to come out in Q2, to have more of a global template editor. So as an organization, you can create a scope of work template and make it available to all of your users. Now the cover letter template, again, it's the same thing. If I hit template maintenance, it's going to show me the same editor. I would say many of you are using the cover letter template, and it can be done a few different ways. In my case, I just have the body and the signature, but if you saw on the template itself, I had kind of like a header, and then I had a header, so it started after the dear call, so everything up to here is automated. We can do that as well as make the signature automated, so you only have to do the body, and some of you have the entire page is a template. So again, a little different for everybody, but if there are certain things you said, well, let's automate a little more of it and just make the body a template, we could do that. And then again, I would recommend making it a default under my settings if you're picking the same cover letter 9 out of 10 times, because it just saves the need to go and turn that on. Terms and conditions is unique to the being on the latest document editor tool, which again, I'm almost positive everyone on this call is on, except for a couple of you. And it is only available for the proposal, so not contracts, not the quote to contractor. Purpose of this was to allow you to have terms and conditions. You could have multiple sets of terms and conditions, so different templates, but also it's a little stricter in that not anyone can just change your T's and C's. If you have someone who has the user permissions, like if I go and change, I'm going to take out term number 5 and just delete it and hit update, it's going to prompt me for a password. So this is a user permission on whether or not I'm allowed to edit it, but any user can add it, to a job as they need. So that way, if you get red lines on contracts and you want to change a term for one job only, you can do it for that job, or as a whole, you could change your terms and conditions going forward. Again, I'm seeing some people make some language changes on their contracts, which is a little different, but if you are making language changes and you have terms in your proposal, you can do that without calling 1-800-WeSuite to make a change to your document. Okay, the last bucket I'm going to talk about in here is the custom text items. So again, we talked about case studies. I'm just going to say case study number 1, case study number 2, just we want to get a lot more stuff in our webinar today. But I go ahead and use that custom text item, I regenerate, and now that's going to show under that particular page. So if you have a lot of instances in which you take the document outside of WeSuite in order to edit something, adding a custom text item to those areas may be very beneficial so that you don't have to have your users export the document, change it in Word, and send it out. And so you can have as many different custom text items as you might need. So many of you do have a custom text item underneath inclusions, exclusions, clarifications, and assumptions to just say, hey, in addition to the above, we're also are or not going to do such and such that you can do on the fly. I've also seen a lot of people use the cover page image one, where I'm going to just take some image that I have of like a logo. You don't have to worry too much about size unless you have a really huge image, but you'll see when I regenerate, it's going to show in a specific spot on the cover page. So basically what I'm getting at is it could be images, it could be text, it could be an entire page, it could just be a sentence going somewhere. So if there's anywhere on the document that you feel like, hey, I'd love the ability to edit this in certain situations, I would say adding a custom text item is a good idea. Okay. Any questions so far? Doesn't look like it. I'm seeing the attendee list, and there's a lot of experts on the call right now, so definitely we'll save some time if you want to ask anything specifically about your own document. But I'm going to move on to another feature that I think everybody is aware of, but it's creating optional folders. So we get asked quite often, and now it's very out of the box, where, hey, these 3 folders were part of the job. Sorry, it's a very long document. These 3 folders are part of the job, but they're just thinking about the fire alarm. So we have a feature called optional folders, and the way to do that would be to go to all estimate items, and you'll see what we call the folder summary in this last kind of quadrant box here that is only really used when you're controlling your folders. It can do different things, like if you wanted to reorder your folders, so like the position here, if I wanted fire alarm to show first instead of second, I can change the position here. This is also where you would give your folders a unique job type and system type. Most critically important for Sedona integration, because it will break the job up if you need to on the Sedona side, or throw it all over into one lump job. And then what we were talking about prior is saying, I just want to print this folder on the document, but do not include it in the outright sale. It will put a black question mark on the folder. That's how you know it is an optional folder. And now when I go to regenerate this, I'm going to see my access and video systems are included in the job, and my fire alarm is going to show as an option. So let's go forward there. Okay, so now I see access and video. my totals, and then available options showing underneath. Now, some of you, instead of saying available options, it says something else, so they put option in the name of the folder. Again, it's a little unique for everybody. But one of the things I don't think everybody knows is that you could have the optional folder pricing show a little differently than the included folders. So by default, it's following exactly what the other folders are doing. Quantity and description of parts, labor, and recurring, no extended price, and it's hiding everything else. So for some of you, it's, hey, I'm fine with that in the main job, but in the optional folder, I do want to show line item options because maybe you have all your options in that folder, right? Keypad is an extra $100. 2 more contacts is an extra $50. So if you wanted a separate pricing display of optional folders, we can handle that. I mean, we could literally turn on this entire checkbox tree times 2, but for most of you, you don't want to do that. You're showing your options a certain way, and we'll give you a subsection of it, but we would just have to go through that with you. So if anyone has wanted to do that, it is available, and we just have to go through with you how you want your optional folders to act a little differently. We can also have optional folders be programmed for e-sign. So if you want someone to initial this option, I want this option but not that option, we can do that. However, as it pertains to the e-sign tools, we need to know how many options you could potentially have so we have enough spaces for the initials to be programmed. So we did this with somebody. They said, look, we'll probably never have more than 10 options, worst case scenario. So we put 10, but then if they have 2 optional folders, 8 optional folders, they're good. But if you hit number 11, you're not going to have another initial box there. So just food for thought if you do want to include that in your DocuSign piece. Okay. I will also mention that there is a third option here. If you want to exclude something from the sale, it will turn the folder red. Not heavily used, but if you don't want to delete the folder from the job, but just keep it there as, hey, I offered it to somebody, but they're not going with it, you can hit exclude from sale. Whereas when I hit print on doc, or when I have it go back to outright sale or print on document, it's still included in the sale, even if I were to import it or export it out from the system. So exclude from sale is an option if you want to say, hey, I don't want to delete the folder. It was there and offered at some point, but it's not going to be part of the official sale of the job. Okay. Okay, before I go under the hood a bit, which I'm not the most expert at, so I am saving that for last, because I do want to talk a bit about some other things that are available to you. I don't have it on my document, but we're seeing more and more people putting thumbnails on every part to have a little picture there. We can handle that. It does require you maintaining your own pictures and thumbnails, and it can get a little wonky because just all the pictures are a little different. So for anyone who has experience there, having that transparent background is crucial because there could be 100 different shades of white, right? And it has to fit in a certain size. But we have done it in a way where maybe for your most used parts, you have a little thumbnail, and then you can have a default icon for something that does not have a thumbnail. So for those of you that may want to add that, I don't have it on my document, but it is something you could potentially add. And we've even gone as far as showing a price or a picture for a package. So at the line item, we can roll up all the parts of the package to just show as a single line item of the package with an image of everything in that package, rather than breaking it out by each individual line item. So if you're a heavy package user, you might want to utilize that. While I'm doing this, I do want to show my finance options. This is an added module if you are using the finance lease module, but it pertains to the document in that it's an easy included or excluded. So if you are doing any self-financing or third-party financing, I won't get into all the ins and outs of how the formulas work, but we basically back into the formula that you would get to finance a job. sales rep would hit include to one or more finance options. And now if I go and show it on my proposal, it will show as another section. So we are seeing more and more of this. Um, some people are just not calling it financing or leasing. It's just we just go in as software as a software as a service, or the system as a service is kind of included in the service and maintenance plan. That, hey, rather than spending 100,000 on the project, you'll pay for equipment and labor, but then here's your ongoing monthly. It's not like it expires once you pay off your job. Um, Unlike a historical like lease or finance, where once you paid off your car, then you're done with those monthly payments. But what I wanted to show you is it will automatically include itself on the document now. So this is a pretty standard section we're starting to see now. You might edit the way that it's titled, but it'll essentially have the name of the lease option, whatever the deposit and monthly amount is based on those formulas, and then some people program it for DocuSign, some people don't. But I also am seeing more inclusion of something like a QR code, or especially with third-party financing, right? The above is based on your credit approval and is estimated and things like that. So always like to show this on this type of webinar. It is contingent on using this module, but if this is something that you want to do, or even, hey, we're not going to use the module, but let's just throw on the QR code to the document, we could do something like that. I've seen this for case studies too, other things that might change on a day-to-day basis, or not day-to-day, but often enough that you don't want to call WeSuite and make it a permanent part of your document. So let's make it a code or a link to something that you can control on your end. Okay, just going right down my list of items here. Okay. So I do want to talk about that revisioning a little bit. I'm going to flag this as sent, but I could have emailed it, I could have sent it, or I could have DocuSigned it. I'm just going to say that I sent it. And now revision 1 is going to go into sent. And when I click on add a new quote package to create revision 2, as long as I don't change anything to the title, it will stamp revision number 2, right? There is also a question, do you want this document to be a copy of the last one? That means that it's going to be the same checkboxes, same scope of work, not the pricing, right? Pricing may have changed. I added 4 more cameras or something. This is just strictly saying, yes, take the same version as last time. Again, meaning checkboxes and the scope of work, templates, and things that I've written in custom text items. And also coming new to 6.11 is we did stamp this last update date and the revision number. Prior, it just said alarm system, alarm system, alarm system. And so you had to know that the top was the most recent. So that's coming in 6.11 for all of you. And I know that's a big ask. But let's say I don't want to do that. I'm just going to create something new and I want to put different checkboxes. Now it's stamped revision 2. Whereas if I said add a new quote package, I'm going to call it revision 3, and I change the title in any way, it's going to go back to revision 1. So while they are multiple versions, if you keep the title the same, it will auto stamp the revision number. If you change the title and put revision number in the title, it's going to say revision 1 over and over. For some of you, that might not matter because you're just putting the rev number in the title, and that's why you're changing it. But if you would rather instead have us just stamp the revision number on the document and keep the title the same, we can do that. Another feature that is coming that I know is a big ask for 6.11 as well, which was not allowing, or it's coming out in 6.11 and was a big ask from the greater community, was when I win a job to not allow your users to click this create new document button. That will force them to have sent their quote packages. So you can see, for example, I have these 2 documents that have been sent or that have been created, whereas the create document was just an easy way out for users to just create a document on the fly, and it's not actually a document. There's no DocuSign, there's no PDF that comes with it. It's just storing a snapshot of the job at the time for that price in order to win it. So for a lot of you, it was a huge ask to have that button, the user permission, to deactivate it. So we'll force your users to actually create a quote package and have sent it. If I do not send it, it also will not show up as something available to win. So I do see that maybe being a thorn for some salespeople that have just been doing it the wrong way for a long time, but I think will also help smooth out a lot of things happening on the operations side. So we'll force the users to actually flag that they've sent a proposal, and then I can only win something that I have sent. Also coming very soon is the ability to turn on supporting documents in your proposal. I cannot show this to you right now, but it's essentially just like custom text items. I would say I'm going to add a document to supporting documents. So let's add this. I don't know, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to add this picture. And then I want to turn this picture on in my proposal. And so over here, you would basically have the control, just like you would with custom text items, to say, yep, I want to turn that on and I want to turn it on here. And so the here is what's the important part. So it could add an entire page. So my proposal is typically 10 pages and now make it page 11, 12, 13, right? Add it as like exhibit A, B, C, D. Or no, I want to show it, right here beneath the financial summary, but before the payment terms. And so we could program it that way. But then this way, you would be able to basically add any document that you would normally be exporting the WeSuite PDF out, merging it with another PDF, or sending two different files to someone and allow you to add it right on the fly within the system. So the biggest thing is, while this feature is new and will be rolled out to everybody, where you want it on the document and how many areas you want is something that would need to be programmed. So for example, work with a company that does a lot of guarding. They had, exhibit A and exhibit B on their proposal typically, where they would take pictures of where the cameras are going to be looking. So those documents always change. So and they didn't want to use scope of work and they didn't want to use all these other things. So they'll create a PDF like they normally would today called Exhibit A, add it in here as a supporting document, and then say turn on in my proposal, and it's going to show up as the last page. So as soon as these things are rolled out, you should see the upcoming release notes. We'll probably also do some more webinars about it, but I did want to mention it today for this group since this is a document conversation. Okay, so I am now going to go under the hood a little bit and show you there are a few things that are at your disposal from a document setup. And so I don't know if everybody knows this, but if I were to open up this job again, actually I'm going to create a new job just to show you exactly what I'm talking about. There's a default document display in general that's just company-wide versus the checkbox templates that are user-wide, so, or per user that you might give to everybody. So I'm going to copy this and paste this job. Also, I don't know if everybody knew you can copy the documents from jobs as well. I'm not going to do that. But if you did want to copy the proposal, the scope of work, everything, I could copy that as well during job copy. And now we are going to go to the document screen, and having done nothing, if I just check my document, I do have boxes checked already under default. So as a company, you can have a default checkbox tree in addition to your users being able to create their own defaults. And so if you wanted to manipulate that, that would be under program options. And I believe certain order of operations here to use. Yeah, okay. So under program options, document items, you would select your proposal. Again, mine looks a little crazy because I have a million proposals, but you probably have just your proposal and however many contracts you have. And then the whole lower half of the screen is whether or not you want that checkbox on by default anytime someone creates a job. Or you might also see you have a bunch hidden in your document tree. So like I said before, you don't use subs and now you're going to, and you want to turn on that section, they're likely all hidden and you would unhide them. And if you wanted it on as a default without the user having to select anything, you can turn that on as a default. Now, this is usually where our document engineers will do some of this work. And then when you sign a CAA to add something custom, we'll come in, we'll create version number 72 of your proposal. We'll program the new checkbox, whatever we've done. So if you were more comfortable with asking us first and saying, hey, I want to turn this on as a default, we can typically just help you in support, or we'll show you, hey, go to document items and this is where you can handle it. So if you feel comfortable, you can go ahead and do that on your own. And I believe the document pages act similarly. It just has its own section. So just like document items, this is, hey, I want to default these document pages as on or off upon job creation without the user having to select anything. Okay, now I do want to pivot to Quote Anywhere just because I think it is very important to talk about on every webinar here. Really stressing that Quote Anywhere is a photocopy of your WeEstimate. You can turn it on today and you will see all of your job history and all the jobs you made. So here, for example, is J1 and J2 of that Paul Harris job that I've done. And in here, you'll have your document screen. And you can do everything that you can do in WeEstimate except create templates. That is what is coming in 6.12. So for most of you, you may be creating your document templates in WeEstimate, but then if I were to come into Quote Anywhere and say configure, here's my cover letter, my scope of work, my terms and conditions, everything is a mirror image of what happened in WeEstimate. So if I built a job there and then come over here, I built it here and go over there, everything is the same. I can pick from all the templates that I already have. So you saw my intrusion video template we were working on. That said, this is going to replace the template you have. Are you okay with that? I said yes. And now here's my new template, and then I can edit it on the fly for this particular job with these icons here. So really, if you have not yet explored turning on Quote Anywhere, think of it as just a mobile app to your WeEstimate. It's not a mobile app, it's a website, but again, we literally just have to turn it on and program it from the IT side of the house. There's no system configuration. It's mirroring everything from WeEstimate. And so this is why I would really stress creating templates and checkbox templates as a user or a manager in WeEstimate, because then in Quote Anywhere, you just point and click, right? I need a check. Here's that new 218 template I made. That's the same thing as the entire checkbox tree that you have. It's just all folded up. So you have all the same options, all the same checkboxes. And so to save your users some time if they're out in the field, creating templates and then only having to check a box on or off on the fly once in a while is going to be a lot faster than someone having to go through the entire checkbox tree if that's what they're doing today in WeEstimate. Similarly, having cover letters set as a default or having a few scopes of work templates that you already have to just pick from will also save a lot of time there. And then all your custom text items you'd see here as a list as well. So I had my cover page image. I'm on the J2 and I didn't copy. That's why there's not one here. But same thing. I import some sort of image. Janina, I'm sorry. I'm going to put your headshot here. And there we go. Right. So now I'm going to hit preview, and it's going to show that right on the cover page. So Quote Anywhere, nice and easy. It looks good on a phone. It looks good on an iPad, and you can do everything you need to do for documents. The image is too big, so I went down here. I go back, and I would configure it, and I fix it a little bit. But there's kind of a standard that you'll kind of get to when you're using this piece. So I think that covered everything I wanted to talk about today. I was going to talk about a couple other things, but any questions at all that people have specifically about their documents or that we've gone through so far? Because speak now. Be happy to answer those for you. I will say a few things that have come up recently. Like I do see some people on the call um, where we are going to help them bake equipment and labor into one line item. There's definitely some labor hours that go into that from a programming standpoint, but if you do like to show to your user, hey, this is the device and here is how much it's going to cost, including labor, we can do things like that. Um, and another piece that's come up, not everyone does this, but if you want to show parts of the job outside of the standard area that the job shows, like just a schedule of equipment somewhere, or some people are using the RMR escalation grid. What that means is, hey, your service agreement this year is $100, but year two, year three, year four, it's going to escalate a little bit. If you want to show that to someone in your proposal, we can handle that. Um, you'd only be winning the dollar amount that you did for the 1 year, but from the billing side, if they see, okay, your service agreement is going to go up a percentage year over year, we do have a feature to handle something like that here. And then we can show it on the document. Or some people are not allowing the users to control it in the job. It's just automatically escalating that if I sold a 2-year service agreement, it's going to be X dollars, and then automatically show me a sliding scale of how that's going to increase year over year. I also didn't go that deep into taxes today, but if you are, a lot of you have taxes are just excluded on the job, or if they are included, you may be using kind of our out of the box tax features, or we do have a tax, more advanced tax module, which allows you, rather than just seeing overall material, labor, and other, which is anything that's not material or labor, you would actually have line item control to say which parts, chargeable items, labor items are taxable or not. So I see that a lot on the chargeable item side or on the equipment side, where depending on the state, if it's affixed to the wall, if it's not, whether it's taxable or not taxable. And so if you needed to go a little deeper into that, we could handle how it looks on the document. And we do have a monthly tax subscription as well. It's with a service that will automatically update the tax rate based on the city, state, zip code. I believe first of the month it will update. Otherwise, we have a tax table in the system that's probably just updated once annually. So most people do have a statement that says, the taxes are estimated and actual tax will be due on invoice, because we're not doing anything on the billing side. Even with the accounting integrations, we're not passing tax over to many of those tools. Maybe some we are for specific integrations, but for the most part, it's to get a dollar value to the customer to understand, hey, heads up, there is going to be X amount of taxes on this job. Okay, so since we don't have any questions, I will also talk about another newer feature that kind of pertains to the documents themselves. There's two ways that this could be used. So our sales form module used to be what was called our business forms module. We rewrote it and it's a lot more user friendly. This is an example, and there's two people on the call today from this organization. It's just another piece of paper in the process. That's not a proposal, it's not a contract, but it's data you need to capture. And so this is a way to digitize other paper forms or documents in your organization. And then if you wanted to say, great, take the answer to question number 4 and populate it here on the proposal or on a contract or on the job summary report, we could do that. Or no, it's just going to be used as its own document. So keep it separate. So often I'm like, hey, I have this other document in the process. And sometimes it's this gray area of, is that handled on the operations side and we kind of end at the sales side, but still, if we could fill in, like here's another example from a client where again, we just changed their logo, but they had this fire alarm connection sheet. they fill in as much as, what they can, and then maybe they print this off, and the remainder is filled in by the operations side of the house. But again, we could digitize other paper documents. And the nice part is that this is all controlled by you. If you want to turn this module on, we give you a user guide, and you would create your own fields, your own however many forms you want, however many fields you want, and it's all handled on the Code Anywhere side from an admin perspective. I would go to sales forms, and I have a booking form, and I want to edit it, and you would create your fields, create the layout, and so you could create the different fields you want, and whether it's a checkbox, a drop down, should it take up the whole screen or just half, how many columns do you want. So again, this has been very beneficial from a, you want control of your own document, you don't need to call us if you need to add a new checkbox or a new drop down. And the reason I'm bringing it up today is because we could populate the answers to these questions on the document. And the reason why I say that is because with custom text items, you had to go to every different custom text item. And with data lists, you couldn't write whatever you want. You had to just pick a certain drop down or a checkbox. This is kind of the best of all of that in one place. So you don't have to bop in and out of different custom text items or different drop downs, and they just go to one place, fill in all the extra data they would potentially need to, and you could put it right on your proposal document somewhere. So I think that covers it. And if there are no questions, I'm happy to let everybody go early. Janina will just walk us through next week and next month's webinars. But if you do have any questions, feel free to pop them in the chat now.
Thank you, Samantha, and thank you everyone for joining us today. We hope that you've learned some good information to take back for yourselves and also share with your teams. And if you need to refer to this webinar again, it will be posted on our website by this time tomorrow on our website under education and training webinars. And also, as Samantha mentioned, don't forget to mark your calendars for our upcoming webinars. So this month, we still do have sales user training on February 25. And next month, we're going to have the admin training for WeEstimate part management and real-time pricing integration on Tuesday, March 11, and the sales user training for WeEstimate 101 or estimating basics for March 18, 2025. Thank you, everyone, and have a great day. Bye.